I went to the Pursuit of Truth, so when the second hours of load shedding, um, and I'm only going to make a quick video because I don't have much data on this Telcom SIM card, but I was just thinking how bad it is, like to the 1 in the morning, the 7 to 11:30. That's when kids go to school, so you just start around 8 here. So how do they wash? How do they bath? No water, no electricity. Imagine, and this is a developing country. Imagine how it is for other countries like Gaza and places like that, and places where Ethiopia and places where they don't even have any of this infrastructure. How difficult life that is when it needn't be like that, because we have all the infrastructure that I always talk about. Check the other videos if you want to hear about that. The thing that struck me at the end after making it was, and I don't know whether it's true or not, so what do you think? Is it always the rich who look after the poor, or always the rich who are in charge of the poor, I should say? Is it always rich people who are in the positions of power in majority, if not all, countries? Maybe it also may go through education as well. Certain institutions, they like Oxford and Cambridge and all that kind of stuff. But then obviously to go to those places, you need to be wealthy. I couldn't send my kids there. So is it always the wealthy that get there and that's catered for them so they can get to these positions of power? Or is it like historical legacies like kings and queens and families who it passes down to? So I don't know whether that is the case in South Africa. Is the people, Cyril Ramaphosa, is it Jacob Zuma, were they wealthy individuals, or now when they're in power, they may come through the historical legacy of ANC and etc. and the struggles. But like with Keir Starmer and Tony Blair and David Cameron and stuff like that, Margaret Thatcher, they were all wealthy at the time when they were getting power. Is that always the case? Is it always? I don't know if that is true or not. Maybe it's not always true, but it just made me wonder whether that is the case, because it came into my head like the rich in charge of the poor, and that's the problem, isn't it? Because they will always make sure that everything's okay for them. Because I'm sure the people in the municipality and the governments, when this is happening, load shedding or water shedding, that they have all this stuff and it's not affecting them. But I just worry about, I was told that there was one area where they died of cholera or some kind of dysentery or something, where the water was not cleaned, and that person's still roaming around. And like a lot of people believe it's to do with corruption and backhanders and all that kind of stuff, with tenders never being done and money not going into the infrastructure. And I don't know, because I'm not a resident here, but we know that happens around the world. But it's just, I wonder if it would make a difference if poor people were in power, would they change things to suit everyone rather than looking after the wealthy? Maybe look after the 99%, which is mainly the poorer people, or the 80 or 70% of the world population, which are below a certain level. Or would they then just, because they're in that power, forget about all those people who should struggle like them and just become like looking after themselves and becoming wealthy? I don't know. It just seems like the system that we live in, it is not the best system, in the sense that we know that there's suffering going on, like here in South Africa, there's suffering going on. I know there's suffering going on in Western countries as well, but with poverty and homelessness and all that kind of stuff. But this is a different level. And then, of course, you go to other countries where it's really extreme, where people die early or children die early, and to do with wars and famine and all that kind of stuff. Whereas the truth is, the place that we found ourselves upon, that we've greedily possessed and said, cut bits up and circled up, and not intrinsically realised that we're all human beings, that system that we live in is the problem. The problem of division, the problem of money. Because every country, or at least the planet itself, has the electricity, the water, the resources, the land, all the things needed to make every country perfect. And we have the minds, we have the energy and the resources and the humanity to do it. And if we were stranded on another planet, we would work together to build all these things. Well, here we are with everything. Why aren't we doing that? Why are we allowing suffering to continue? I don't know, just wanted to hammer that point across and get your views on whether you think, is it always the rich that are in charge of the poor? Is that the crux of the problem? I don't think it's the crux of the problem. The real problem is that the way we divided ourselves and then to compete against each other in the country and as nations, rather than work together because we have everything we need. We could teach each other how to do things, and if we got rid of money and all that, we wouldn't have all this suffering. No? Correct me if I'm wrong. Take it easy, God bless and peace. And I know there'll be people saying, well, yeah, but this is how it is. But, so we're just going to stick with it because this is how it is, because this is how our forefathers have passed it down to us. We're going to stick with this suffering. It makes no sense. Take it easy, God bless and peace.